Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to have Osh with Mile High Plumbing and Electric with us this morning. And I met Osh through another agent in a transaction. It was probably almost about 6 to 9 months ago. And I actually kind of had to go back through my text messages and figure out where we came across each other. And I remember Osh being super amazing and great at communication during that transaction. So much so that I have now incorporated him into my business and really trusted his guidance and his coaching on multiple situations, as it feels like every home I list right now seems to have a plumbing issue. I don't know what kind of streak I'm on, but I'd love to break that right now. And Osh has been very informative, very helpful, and super great to just ask questions to. But even more so than that, I have found Osh to be super helpful in helping with my clients. And that is one of the biggest things that I have found in working with our clients is that having a contractor and a vendor who is able to help our clients through some of the more stressful parts of our transaction is super important. So I'm super excited that Ash has joined us this morning, and I look forward to sharing about him and his business with everybody. And if you would like his contact info, we will get that to you at the very end. And we will also have a contact card for you in the comments below so that you can reach out to him as well. Ash, I am super thankful that you've joined me this morning. Can you share with us a little bit about you and your business and what has brought you to join me this morning?
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you for having me. It's been nothing but a pleasure working with you. So I started Mile High about in 2019. My business partner, he's a master plumber, so he kind of holds down, the trade side while I do everything on the back office. And my goal has always been, building strong relationships with people that care as much as I do. And that's what our company standards really are. You especially, whenever you have a common goal of just taking care of your customers, it makes it so much easier to find like-minded people to work with, and you can really get things done. I really got into this business because I was just so sick and tired of how I've been treated as a customer from a contractor, and it's frustrating. There's a lot of times where things just don't make sense and you don't understand where the pricing is coming from. And it's just, there was so much that I just didn't understand even as a consumer. And a big passion of mine has always been just helping people. And that's what really drove me towards this business. And I mean, I love what I do every single day. And, especially like I said, working with like-minded people that care as much as, for example, you do, Beth, about their customers, it's just so much easier. There's no pushback. We've been able to accomplish great things together. Like you said, there's been quite a few transactions that we've helped you close on, and you've just made it so easy. And whenever that's what our standards are, is taking care of the customer, that's what yours is as well. It makes sense, and it's so easy to do.
Absolutely. You've made it a very easy opportunity to work together and collaborate and then be able to help our clients together.
Likewise, yeah, like I said, I mean, it's amazing. We've worked for, there's been other realtors that, and not only real estate agents, but just other situations, whether it be vendors that we work for, that they're just worried about the bottom line. And it's like so much easier when there's a real level of just the customer's needs. And yeah, that's why we've been able to work so flawlessly together. We've been able to find solutions that come in within, your client's needs, your client's budgets, within a timely manner. We both have such creative minds, and it's just made it so, like this last one, it was just amazing how we came together and, got the deal done. And even though, it was tricky, but, everybody was happy. We were able to save everybody some money, and we closed the deal. So
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit with me about what brought you into this industry or what you did before you started this in 2019?
sure, yeah. So before I, I got into plumbing, I had a liquor store. So I we opened up in 2013. There was no sales in the store. So we took it over, doors were closed. And as we started to, I was the one who kind of was there all the time, working 80, 90 hours a week. And I just remember, you know, thinking, how can I differentiate myself from the market? Because there was a ton of liquor stores, at every corner. And something that really set me apart, I think, was just how much I cared for my customers. People, we really focused on the customer service because the product, it's the same everywhere, and finding that differentiation of versus me and my competitors was how we treated our customers. We treated everyone the same, regardless of how much they were spending, what they were coming in for. I tried to give them a pleasant experience. And so I did that until about 2018. We were able to, exit successfully there. And then during that time in the liquor store, though, it was an older building, so stuff was always wrong with the HVAC, electrical, plumbing. And I just remember, yeah, oh, it was bad. And especially, it's whenever you got 100-degree weather outside, those compressors are working really hard and the coolers go down, and it's just people want cold beer. And I remember going through those times thinking, and contractors would just come in and, kind of give me a quote, not really ask the right questions, not putting themselves in like my shoes as to, okay, considering budgets and what type of solutions that I'm looking for, what providing me with options. They would just come in and say, oh, you need a new compressor. And it's, well, this compressor's old, and it's stuff that I didn't understand. I didn't understand that R22 refrigerant was so expensive. And nobody ever explained that to me. They would continuously just say, this is what you need, walk out the door knowing that, during those times of year, it's busy. So they'll just provide a quote. And if you don't get it, they're on to the next one anyways. So after we got out of that business, I mean, I just remember I was like, I really feel like I could do well in that industry because first and foremost, I love people. I like taking care of people. I like, solving their problems. Whenever we take care of a customer's issue and they're calling, they're saying, hey, thank you so much. My system's working the best it's ever worked, or we fix a leak. And it's just very rewarding. I really enjoy what I do because I constantly put myself in the customer's shoes and providing options for those customers because we don't know what they want. We don't know what situation they're in, and providing options. And, whenever they ask us, well, what would you do? We just kind of talk them through. And that's kind of what got me here was just the way I've been treated. No transparency, no accountability whenever somebody screws something up because you don't get it right every time. And that's something that we really pride ourselves on is the accountability factor. And we always make it right. If we do make mistakes, our team is amazing. Everyone's licensed. We do everything that's necessary to keep our technicians accountable. We do a lot of role playing here. We do a lot of trainings. We send them out of state for trainings as well. I mean, we do everything we can to stay, on top of, stay ahead of the curve against our competitors. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that actually brings me to, so one of the things that we find is you'll run into, say, the person who owns the company, right? And the person that owns the company is great, but maybe their employees are less so than great, right? And, I am curious because every single person that I refer to may not have worked just with you directly, Ash. They've worked with other different people. But overall, again and again, people have told me how amazing everybody within your company has been. So it tells me that you've got kind of a top-down approach as far as with your business. How do you go about vetting people, or what do you look for, or how do you train them to be able to carry on what you represent as your company owner?
Yeah. I love to hear that. We do hear that a lot, that people recognize those traits. And something that we've really focused on is knowing that everybody is an extension of the entity itself, right? Even myself, like I am not Mile High Plumbing, Electric and Air. I am part of the entity, and knowing that every single action that and decision that I make it's all on the same spectrum. And just like how an earthquake starts, even from our newest technicians, we know how big of an issue they can cause, whether it be a safety issue or just even, upsetting customers if we do not give them the proper tools and the proper guidance on how to handle situations. So, really the way we find and really the way we find technicians that are going to work within our system is unfortunately by going through and having technicians in the past that just didn't work, and you can kind of sniff them out right away after you've been
Yeah.
through that. And like I said, drug testing at the very beginning, background checks, I mean, that's where it all starts. But after that, it's really just sitting down and having a conversation with whoever's going to be joining the team, seeing, does this person take accountability? Is this person trustworthy? You know, from the smallest things, because everything is so important whenever you're in a customer's home, whenever they're trusting you with their, not only in their home, but with their safety and every little thing, looking at how they keep their trucks, if they're clean and organized, all of that means it's so important in the long run, because if you're not going to do the little things right, you can't do the big things. And we make sure that all of our technicians know what our goals are for them. This is a place where everyone that joins, we want them here for life. We plan on being here for a long time. I plan on keeping this thing forever. And, it's one of those things, just making sure that we take care of every single person that's on this team. They take care of us, they take care of the customer. And that's really the approach that we take.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It definitely is reflected just in how, you guys take care of clients and meet all of their needs. Which, speaking of which, I would love for you to be able to just can you share with us what exactly, because I'll be honest, I don't run into many companies that I can make one phone call and have you guys be able to do multitude of items. So if you could kind of share with us just a little bit on what you do, what you guys can service, what you guys can't service maybe. And that's just like more of like a resource. I feel like I'd way rather, when I have an inspection resolution or an inspection issue on a home, I'd rather have one contractor come in that I know is going to do like lots of work versus having four contractors come in to try to do all the different work. So I'd just love for you to share with us what you do and what your company can do for someone, and maybe something that you guys don't service or what you guys don't do.
Yeah, sure. So that's a great point, because that was also one of my frustrations as well. And it's like, I'd call in customers in the past, contractors in the past, and I'd have issues with my air conditioner and my walk-in coolers, and they're like, "Well, we only work on, the rooftop, for example, and we don't do the walk-in stuff." So I totally understand that frustration, and that's something that I also carried on to here as well. So we do anything plumbing, electrical, HVAC, so any type of heating, cooling, walk-in coolers, anything that has to do with any type of refrigeration, again, air conditioning, and any plumbing and electrical issues. And that is something that we focused on. We have masters on every single trade, making sure we're all licensed across the board, and we make sure that we are sending the right guy to the job. Sometimes it gets tough where, I had a vendor call in and they said it was a plumbing leak. Well, there was a leak coming in from the ceiling of the kitchen. And we sent one of our plumbers out there, and it ended up being a leak on the condensate line from the air conditioner. And the customer kind of got frustrated, and they're like, "Well, why don't you work on this?" And that's the thing. Although we cover a wide spectrum of services, we don't have any jacks of all trade. The guys that we send out are specific to the trade that is required. We're not going to send a plumber to fix a leak on a furnace condensate drain, even though it's just the PVC that might be leaking. Looking into, okay, why is this happening, and having the correct technician there is really going to also be able to address any underlying issues, if there was any. And since I'm not an HVAC expert, we do have masters on the team that would be able to kind of explain further, but there might be a reason why it's condensating more than it should be, or what's causing these failures. And that's why it's so important that we do send out the right guys to the job. And, we do offer that wide range of services, but it's only being able to do that is the only reason we're able to do that is by sending the guys that are specific to those trades. So.
Well, and that makes sense. I mean, I would tell somebody you wouldn't want me to advise you on your mortgage lending because I mean, yeah, I know some of the stuff there,
Sure.
but that's not my area of expertise, right? So
Exactly.
to me, I'd way rather like, even if you're having to pay a little bit more to have another, contractor come back, like in my head, I'd be like, well, of course nobody can be a jack of all trades because then you're a master of none. And
Exactly.
so to us, it's yes, I love that I can call you and say, hey, we're having these four things came up on inspection. Can you repair all of them? I know primarily I've used you for plumbing because that really was where I feel like you shined in a situation in Broomfield on a nightmare home. We had kind of a plumbing, I don't remember what it was, some kind of plumbing issue with the interior of the home that you were like, that's nothing, that's easy. But really, how you managed to help us navigate that transaction and get us to the closing table, even though you had to deal with the city of Broomfield, even though you had to deal with the buyer's agent and the buyer on the other end, and you dealt with my seller very well and explained to us what the situation was and why your quote, which I'm going to tell you, your quote came in, I think, $3,000 cheaper than another company. And my experience with you on that home in Longmont was what made me really be like, well, let's just give him a call and see if he can go out there. And you just navigated that so beautifully. That to me has just really spoken about your ability to like look at all the different situations and kind of help us navigate them. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's interesting now that I know you can do multiple things. I'm like, oh goodness, help you because you're gonna be like so busy. You're gonna be like, Beth, stop. It'll happen. So
No, we love it. We're so excited to continue to work with you. I mean, Beth, you've been, like I said, you've just been so amazing to work with. We're used to working, people are only calling us whenever there's issues with their homes or, some type of problem. Nobody's ever calling and saying, hey, my plumbing system is working fantastic,
can you come
So
and take a look at it just for fun?
exactly. Yeah. And so we're used to those high stress situations and, you know, even like down to the pricing, like that's something, like I said, I'd love that you recognize and you see the value of everything we bring to the table because our pricing is not just, oh, we just shoot from the hip. Everything is structured. We know where we need to come in at. It's again transparent and yeah, and it works. And that's whenever if you have a system for everything and you do the best that you can, and it's amazing when customers like yourself recognize that and see the value behind it because it also makes us feel like we're doing something right because there's a lot that goes into that, coming in right where we need to. And, of course, working with municipalities, work done to code, there's a lot to it. And, that's something that we pride ourselves on. And I love that, you recognize that and we appreciate that.
Well, one of the things though that I do want to touch on is just because you were cheaper than the other company, I actually truthfully did not feel like your service was less, right? Because sometimes
Sure.
the cheaper company, you're paying what you get for, from them. And
Yeah.
I literally just remember like being so impressed with how you coached my client who in Longmont is a very meticulous, very type A person. And I remember him being like, I am not comfortable with this because this quote is cheaper. And I was like, well, let's just have a conversation with him and see. And you were able to answer all of his questions. You were able to really help him understand what you were doing, why you were doing it the way you were. And you really showed him your value. And that is why I was like, okay, this is somebody that can really take the time because I think a lot of these real estate situations are where people don't take the time, right? They kind of just, I think one of the reasons that my business is very successful is I take the time with my clients to explain to them, okay, this is why they're asking for A, B, and C, or this is how we get through this part of the transaction. And I really see that you do that with all of my clients. You really explain to them the situation and your communication with every single one of them just makes the process so much easier. And like I was telling you earlier before we actually started our call, the fact that you take care of them, like I take care of them, really reflects very well on me, right? As an agent, I'm able to say, I know that I can put him in Asha's hands and you're going to take great care
Yeah.
of him. And I don't have to worry that you're going to be like, well, this is just the fee and this is just the expense and this is just the way it is. You dealt with my future brother-in-law's sewer line just recently, and he had questions and lots of questions and didn't really understand. And I think you probably had 3 or 4 phone calls with him of trying to help him understand why you were doing and why you were bidding, and the bid was higher than he wanted, but why you had to bid it the way you did. And you really coached him through that process, which is imperative. Truthfully, I saw him 2 nights ago at a football game, and he was just raving about how amazing you were and how you really helped make everybody in that whole situation very happy. So I think that your ability to talk with people and communicate with them really reflects very well on me, which then helps both of our businesses be very successful, which I'm super appreciative to, you
Yeah.
just doing things the way that you do.
No, again, I love hearing that because it really gives us, we know what we're doing. We know why we do things the way we do. And, we're here we do honest, good business. And whenever we are in these situations where we're able to show our true colors, because that was a tricky one, and although there was a
I
lot,
know it was.
yeah, although there was a lot of funds, allocated that really we could have been like, hey, this is what the job is going to cost because escrow had, they had the funds reserved. And we were able to come in after, although we had some initial concerns that the job might be bigger, we took the necessary steps, sent out one of our master plumbers. He's spectacular. He's done this a long time. And he was able to confirm that a spot repair was only required. I mean, your client got back, more than 2/3 of the funds that were held in escrow, and we were able to come in and get the deal done. And it's just, that's who we are. We're in here. And not only were we able to keep him happy and get the deal done, but doing business that way, I think that we earned his business for forever, and so that's why we do it. It's so rewarding too. Like, I just remember telling him like, "Hey, I got some good news for you, and this is what the repair is going to cost." And once we confirmed that's all that was needed, and just hearing that he was ecstatic, and hearing that you had that conversation with him makes me even happier. And that's
He
literally
was,
why we do
he was very excited. He told me at a football game. So,
it. Good.
a question I have for you is a lot of, so when we go to list a home, right? We never know kind of what's going to go on either with the HVAC, like the questionable items in a home transaction sale is the sewer line because we can't see it, the HVAC system because frequently people don't take care of their HVAC systems. And then the third one is the roof. And unfortunately, you don't do roofs yet. So we'll get into that one. But one of the ways that I remember when we very first started working together, and I was like, take payment at close. And I remember us talking through how does that work? And one of the things that I really coach all of my clients on and my coaching clients as well is that finding contractors that are willing to take their payment at close. And one of the ways I want to kind of just loop people in, so the ones that aren't familiar with it, is what we will do in a home sale transaction. If it's under contract and we know that we're going to be closing, but say, like in the situation in Berthoud where there was a break in the sewer line, and I say to Ash, hey, we've got a broken sewer line. Is it possible for you to do the spot repair and then receive payment at close? We, as the agents and as the title reps, they know that there's funds, and most people who have a home in Colorado right now have significant amount of funds. And so with our assurance, we're able to tell Ash, hey, we're going to be able to pay you at close. Are you able to do the spot repair and get that done so that we can close the transaction? Because truthfully, HVAC systems, sewer line repairs, and roofs, unless they're covered by homeowners insurance, even then, some people don't have the deductible needed. I work with contractors who are able to take their payment at close, and that enables us to be able to facilitate the closing. We can get everybody gets paid at closing, and then what they do is they issue Osh and his company or a roofer or any other contractors that might have to come in. They will issue them a check at closing, assuring a clean and clear title is passed on to the buyers. Osh gets his money. He's able to kind of move on in his transaction. And then the home sale is closed. The seller's very happy that they were able to do that. The buyer's very happy that they've got a sewer line that's functional and not breaking and cracking. So all parties are very happy. So we've been very appreciative of your flexibility of being able to help facilitate that, because I believe you did that not only on our very first transaction, maybe you did that in Longmont. I don't remember. I had the buyer in that one.
Yeah,
Um,
we did.
yeah, and then we did that in Broomfield, and then we did that in Berthoud. And I think I have you going out on Wednesday for another Berthoud home that's
Mhm.
going to have to be the same. But I just appreciate the fact that you do that for our clients and do that for me so that we can actually get to the closing table. Do you do that for a lot of your clients in the home sale transaction?
So, this is where the relationship factor really comes into play with you, just because of, with even, it's been months that we've been working together, seeing how how you take care of your clients, because that's a pure reflection of who you are. That's how you're going to take care of your contractors. You've never asked us to do anything that is, against our standards. Like, there's a lot that goes into that, and that's where you should give yourself a pat on the back as well, because there's not a lot of people because there's a lot of exposure there, right? There's,
A lot of
especially being,
liability for you.
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
absolutely.
liability. You're on record at a closing. There's a title company that has the record of the invoices, the estimates, the scope of the work. There's just there's a lot of risk, a lot on the table. And, there's been times where I've walked away from transactions just because I didn't feel like it was being done the right way. And that's where, with you and other, we do work for other real estate agents as well, but we won't do it just for anybody. Having just from right away, I mean, I could just tell again what type of person you were, and just how well you took care of your clients, and just even because paying attention to the little stuff, like although clients and customers are, they're analyzing us as a company, we're doing the same. We don't, there's a lot of times where we just walk away from jobs because it's like the vibe is not there,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like I
Oh
could
yeah, I
see,
know. I know.
yeah, it's like, and I'm like, whew, crisis averted. I'm glad that we didn't end up working with them. And unfortunately, there was a lot of times where I'm like, I know I shouldn't be trying, like, this person really needs us. I'm getting I'm sensing that there might be some issues down the road, and I still try to, I still put myself out there, and unfortunately end up getting, stung by it. But it's so, after making, some mistakes on not sticking with my intuitions on situations, but that's definitely helped. But working with people like you, I mean, it's a no brainer. We'll definitely do that. And it is hard to be in a position to do that. It costs a lot to execute these jobs, and, for you to be floating money, and for you to, because sometimes, there's a lot. It's not just the job itself, it's the city, it's, them releasing the permit, it's signing off on the inspection. There's just so much that goes into it. And that's where it goes back to, like, even like our pricing and the way we do things. Although unfortunately our price, we have taken multiple price increases as we've grown, but we have all that to a T, where we are able to, you know float these jobs and take care of our customers and get deals done, and not be in a situation where, we're hurting. And it all works together. Our relationship, the timing, us being able to do this, our price book, our structure, the way we do things. It's all, it's all been a tough it's been tough to get here, but I'm so grateful for everything that we've been through, because it makes situations like this much easier. And now I think that we've got it figured out, so.
Well, and you launched in 2019. So, I mean, you went right into COVID that next year. Um,
Yeah.
And so I can't even imagine like trying to, I mean, the real estate industry took a big hit during the very first part of COVID. And then once they deemed us, I guess what you would call like essential employees, because people still have to buy and sell homes, we were allowed to work.
Sure.
But the real estate industry took like a big hit the first 6 months of COVID. And then
Yeah.
it was just insanity after that, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you guys did fare. Do you feel like it was pretty difficult that first year?
It, I mean, it was just in general, as you know, being a new business, you know, especially in plumbing, where because we just started off in plumbing, you know, we were only doing plumbing, and it's funny that you picked up on that, like that is our strong suit. It's we've been doing plumbing. We just started doing HVAC at the beginning of 20, sorry, at the end of 2023. Yeah, and but we made sure that we figured everything out on that end, you know. But so there was a that first year was tough, not only just because you know you're breaking into an industry where people have already, you know, they have all the big guys, you know,
Yeah.
the go-tos, you know, and it was tough because people need to trust you. They want to know that you're going to be even around to be able to warranty these products. You know, we warranty our work, and for us to build that relationship and have that trust factor that, hey, no, we are going to be around to warranty this for X amount of years that you're purchasing the warranty for. So that was tough. Just people being worried that we're going to be around. And then you throw in the factor of the whole COVID thing. I mean, people were scared to have anybody in their house, especially plumbers that were going around, you know, and home to home whenever like things were as bad as they were, whenever everybody was getting it. There was, but what we were able to do even in that situation really show how trustworthy we were. You know, even if we were keeping our distance, we would still like FaceTime customers even while we were in their home and like show, hey, this is where, you know, this is what your failure is, and making sure that level of transparency and explanation was there. We, you know, it actually almost, in hindsight, now that you ask this, you know, it really helped us build those characteristics of what our company stands for, because people trusted us, that we were going to keep them safe, you know, following all the, you know, making sure we took all the necessary steps to keep not only our homeowners safe but us as well. And then secondly, like explaining, well, you know, documenting everything, showing them why, even though, because you know people didn't want to be in the mechanical room where, you know, it's a 5 by 5 and you're that close, trying to show them like what's going on with their shut off valve. And it really did, it was tough, but it definitely made us better in the long run.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like, I mean, in hindsight, you know, it's hard to believe that it's actually almost 5 years since like COVID
Yeah.
started and stuff. But I think in hindsight, a lot of us really, even though it was a very hard time, I feel like a lot of us really grew and learned. And I feel like I kind of fine-tuned my craft during those years.
Yeah.
But for myself, it was more like Fast and Furious. It became like an insane time. And, you know, I feel like it really helped me to grow kind of as an agent and to learn, like, even though we're slammed and even though we're busy, like, I still have to take the time to meet all those needs for my clients, you know? So I do have a question though about like, how do you guys handle like emergency calls or like somebody calling and being like, hey, my furnace went out and it's like 54 degrees in my house. Like, you know, how do you guys handle that? And what do you guys do to service your clients?
Yeah, so we have, you know, we have systems in place. We take emergency calls all the time. We have dispatchers that are answering the phones that, you know, 24/7. And then we also have on-call technicians. And then the most important piece to all that is having a stock. You know, we, for the first 4 years of, you know, Mile High, we didn't have a shop. We just kind of worked out of, you know, my house and my garage. Um, and July, we moved into our first space of 2024. Yeah, it's been super exciting. We actually just rented just a storage space just to put all of our stock equipment. You know, like we've already outgrown this space. And so having the stock is super crucial as well. You know, keeping technicians stocked. And then if it's something that they can't keep on their, you know, on their van, you know, we have furnaces, we have, you know, components, we have whatever they may need here at the shop. Unfortunately, it's hard to keep it all for every single system, but I mean, we do a pretty good job, making sure that our technicians, and that's where, like, my right hand's like, on the HVAC side and the electrical side and the plumbing side, those guys know, like, okay, it's this time of year, this is what we got to have. Whenever springtime rolls around, for example, and somebody's basement's flooded, got to have sump pumps. Like these sump pumps are going off. They got rain, and these things failed at some time before. So just having the experienced guys and knowing what these technicians should have on their truck, and again, having the ability to buy that equipment and buy that stock. It's tough, but it's all a part of it. So that's kind of how we handle it. We send out our technicians with what they need. We have stock at the shop, got people answering the phones. Because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts with this stuff. So, but again, whenever you have, the masters that are working with Mile High, like the head of the departments, these guys have been doing this for 30 plus years. They know exactly what to do. They know what the next step is even before they're getting there. So it's nice whenever you have a solid team as well, because it just makes the whole process smoother, and we're able to respond quickly to these customers that are calling us that need us.
Great. Are you finding that you're having any sort of difficulty in finding employees? I run into a lot of fellow vendors and people in the industry. And I mean, myself, obviously being an independent contractor, and I just work with myself. And then I have like my admin on my group and my marketing person on my group. But we're kind of different, right? Like, but I hear pretty much industry wide, and it doesn't matter which industry you're in, like finding employees is becoming incredibly difficult to not only like actually show up to work, but actually the ones that want to work and want to learn and want to grow with you. And I'm curious if you're struggling with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and for us, that really is the hardest part. But what we focus on is more so the characteristics of the potential employee as opposed to what their knowledge is. Because the knowledge, I mean, we'll teach anybody that wants to learn. We have the resources, whether that's classes, whether that's spending time with our masters, having our masters ride along with them. So finding the characteristics of a good technician, honesty. I mean, that is the number one thing. If making sure that, first and foremost, the customer is safe. There's been times, and this is where it's hard, even as a contractor, like, because I've been there. You get a technician who's not honest and not accountable and just kind of, oh yeah, this is just what I do. And homeowners, a lot of the time, they don't know what the
Exactly.
right way is to do something. And so having that honesty being number one, that they are going to go in and do what's right, even if it means, you know, getting your hands a little bit dirty, or going into that crawl space and confirming a fitting, or whatever it may take, even if it's something that a customer might never even know about, just that level of honesty and accountability. That's the most, important thing that we look for, because it is hard. You are absolutely right. Because I've also had technicians that didn't care and that didn't want to be here and didn't want to be accountable. And, I ended up having to clean up that mess. So honesty and accountability is the two most important things that we look for.
Yeah.
And then, but it is hard, but once you find those traits, everything else becomes so easy, because, they're on time and they want to learn, and they're being honest with the customer, and they're being honest with, even their higher ups. It's hard to call up you know, the technicians we want are the guys that are going to, and girls that are going to call us and say, hey, I screwed this up. I accidentally did this. How do I make it right? I was making this repair. This is what happened. Their initial reaction is to be scared and to,
Yeah.
be worried about what's going to happen to them. But we would rather than pick up the phone and call us. And that's, again, something that we stress to our guys. Everything is just a discussion away. We can send out some more help. We can make this right, but not being accountable and not being honest is just going to get everybody in more trouble. It's going to make it that much harder. So it definitely is a big challenge. But if you also have the right leaders like we do, we're able to work through and maneuver through situations very smoothly and kind of teach everybody on the team as long as they have those traits. And if they don't, we don't want you around because we
Yeah.
need you to be honest and transparent with first and foremost the customer, then us, and the entire process. So
Well, I just think that speaks to just your company as a whole and who you guys are. And, in closing of our meeting today, I hope like, you have impressed me from the very first time I had a conversation with you. Actually, I think it came as a text message voicemail that you had left for another agent. She forwarded that to me, and then I had a conversation with you, but you've just impressed me from the very beginning of your ability to talk to people and just the way you explain, like, these are the traits we look for in our employees, and these are the things. And yeah, of course, they're going to be scared or nervous because they made a mistake, but I guess I equate it to much like raising teenagers because I'm in the throes of raising teenagers right now. That it's much just communication, it's about opening those lines of communication and supporting them. And I just think it's very evident in how you do that with your clients, how you do that with your employees, and definitely how you do that with fellow people in the industry. So I just super appreciate you sharing who you are and hopping on here this morning just for a little while. So if, another realtor or, a customer wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach out and get in touch with you?
yeah, so the best way is, so we have our main line, which is it's 303-859-0100. That's the main company phone. They can also reach me directly at 303-910-4122. If there's also, you can reach us on our email at support@milehighmep.com. And that's for, like, MEP is mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And finally, I mean, anybody's always welcome to stop into the shop. We're located here in Arvada. If you Google us, the address will pull up. You know, phone calls, definitely if it's ever anything urgent, it's just, we answer our phones. It's our lifeline. We have an office staff of, we got 6 people here in the office that it's their only job to pick up the phone and make phone calls. And then we got a solid team, out in the roads, outside, and out in the field. And but yeah, that's the best way. But you can also, again, send us emails if you ever want a second opinion, or we're happy to, you know, we'll even consult with our homeowners. What we're here for, and for our customers, what we're here for is just to build relationships, right? So we don't just look at it as ever a one and done type thing. We'll come out, we'll explain situations. If somebody wants a second opinion, if somebody says, hey, I was doing this repair and I just have this question, we're happy to walk them through it, because that's just who we are, so they can
Absolutely.
reach out whenever.
I can attest to all of the things that you've said about what you're willing to do and how you're willing to help. So I really appreciate your time this morning. And I guess you and I'll be talking soon. So you have a great day. Thank you so
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beth. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye bye.